you know, I ended up doing it because of my friend's pressure, and not only from my friend's pressure, but I was realizing, you know what, I'm not meeting anybody this way. So it's taking me a long time, had a dry season, and it's like, you know what, maybe I better do this online dating because everybody else is doing it. And even the couple upstairs, they met on Tinder, they swiped and said yes, and now they're happily together, minus the occasional alcoholic session from her boyfriend. But besides that, I mean, they are happy together, so that's a good thing. So it does work. So I mean, it's pretty ubiquitous now, so I thought maybe I better get to it. And because sometimes when you're doing the same thing all the time and it's not working, you might need to change it up. And the reason why I didn't want to do it was because I like to meet people organically. I like the flow. It makes me more relaxed. I don't feel on the spot. Also, I like the feeling of being able to organically see them and see their personality and their character and their, you know, the way they move, the way they behave in the world. You can't get that in a photograph. And people can tell you anything in their messaging and in their profile. And so that was one of the main reasons why I deferred doing it for so long, was because of exactly that. Because you just can't read people that way, and so many people will kind of gloss our resumes and stuff, and you know, same thing with your profiles. So, and in fact, one of the guys who ended up being my boyfriend online, turned out he kind of fudged his profile a little bit and said that he was single when he was actually still married, still joined at the hip with his wife, though separate. I mean, they were living in different houses and all that, but I didn't find out about the actual reality of their situation until long into our, you know, getting deeper into our relationship. Then I find out, oh, you're not actually single. You're still separated, going through your divorce. So I wasn't quite happy about those kind of things. So yes, we can fudge a lot of our stuff, but I had too much of a dry season and my friends pushed me and went online. So I think this is gonna be kind of like, I decided to call it online dating disasters, because I've been online, you meet all kinds of people, and I'm telling you, all kinds of people. And even when you try to vet them, and then you want to always give people the benefit of the doubt, be careful of that when you're doing online. Let your gut rule. We are given intuition for a reason, us ladies, and sometimes we need to follow it, because we may not have the brain, we may not have the brawn, but we do have the brain, and God gave us that for a good reason, so that we can rely on that for making our decisions. And so this is online dating disaster number 1. So this one was kind of like meeting a pseudo-psychopath. Yes, a pseudo-psychopath. And he looked really good on paper. The only thing that he was never married, which when you get to over 40, generally could be a sign of different things for a man. Like, I mean, I don't want to be hard on men, but they do have an easier playing field. And if they get to that age and they're still single, you're wondering what's going on there. That should have been a red flag, number 1. He was good looking on paper, beautiful ice blue eyes. That also should have told me something. No, his eyes were beautiful, but it's the spirit that comes out of it, which of course, again, wasn't laying on paper. So he was this gorgeous, dark, handsome guy, dark hair, tall, 6'4", built. We started messaging each other. turned out we had a lot of superficial things in common. We both loved to work out. We both loved our desserts. We both have a history of living in the same area. He used to live in my area, so he knew a lot of the different spots. So we had a lot of fun talking about those things via messaging. And then I broke one of my number one rules. I allowed him to have my number because he sounded so convincing about like, okay, can we call each other first and just see whether we hit it off in verbal conversation on the phone before we make the date. And I always call the first date the discovery date because really you're feeling the person out. You have not made any commitments yet, of course, but like you're not even sure whether you like the person, put it that way. And the discovery date is where you actually flesh things out and can see whether you really like that, you know, there's chemistry there, there's a rhythm and a flow in your talk, you're hitting it off. And you know, you can seem to have that on paper and yet it all flops in real life situations. So I said, okay, I gave him that, he was leading it, I gave him my number, which I do not recommend doing. Let the messaging be what brings you to the discovery day and don't get offline. That's just my rule and I broke it. So we started talking. He called me, he texted me, and then he called me. So we were talking on the phone, and one of the things I'm always worried about is that all he wants to do. You know, he just wants to be somebody's a lonely heart guy. He just wants to talk on the phone, possibly be pervy. Don't know, you never know with these people. So we started talking on the phone and we seemed to hit it off. We're talking about all sorts of things and desserts and everything, but he would always say these kind of jokes that were, some of them were okay and he was kind of chiding me and stuff, and then some of them were a bit off color, so I wouldn't really laugh at those jokes, and that was like my second marker that, I don't know about this, right? And then he would ask, every once in a while you feel like you're in a flow of conversation, and then he would ask me some kind of weird personal question or make some weird off-color joke. And one of the questions was, there was one picture on my profile with me on a balcony. I have a number of other pictures that are, but my dad took that one, and I was in a lovely little dress and whatever. And he asked me, out of the blue, he's asking me, oh, you know that balcony picture in your profile? Where did you take that? And I'm like, okay, wait a second. He already knows that I live in the same area that he used to live in, and then he lives just by it now, not right in it, but just next door. And I'm going, where is he going with that question? Is it because he wants to know where I live because he is aware of the different structures in my area? Is he trying to figure out where I live, which is a red flag? The other thing is he trying to figure out what status I'm at. Am I in a condo, an apartment, I'm an upscale, low scale, whatever? And I didn't like that because he was trying to figure something out that I didn't feel needed to be figured out. So that was really a big red flag. And I said, I got very vague. Didn't answer the question. I changed the topic and I thought, watch this guy. So there was that one. I'm going, is he a freaking psychopath? Because he like wants to know too much of my business, and I don't like that. I don't know you from Timbuktu. You are a stranger online to me. I do not want you to know where I live, and I do not know why you're very interested in where I live. And so that was not a good marker. And then his kind of weird off-color jokes. So I was telling my friend Lucy, you know, and my dad, you know, these are kind of like weird questions. I don't know whether I should pursue this. I feel like I shouldn't pursue this. And like they were laughing and going, yeah, those are like off questions. I think you should like, they were all advising me to like nip it in the bud, shut it down, kick it to the curb. And of course, guess what? This was the first time I didn't do that. I had all the indications that this was not a good and possibly even not safe. And what did I do? You know how the saying goes, curiosity kills the cat? Well, I got the curiosity got the better of me because this dude was so good looking. I don't know, I threw all caution to the wind and decided I still wanted, I was determined to meet this guy and see him in the flesh and see what it was really about. Whether my gut reaction was correct or not. And normally I would have just shut it down. Really and truly, normally I would have shut it down. But this time around, I don't know what. Curiosity got the better of me and I pushed through in order to see this guy. Weird, yes. So, and everything about me told me, don't do this. You do not know what you're getting into. This guy could be really screwed up. And so we made the date, and we made it because we both, again, another thing that we had in common is we didn't drink. So, and we loved desserts. So we decided to go to a neighborhood, somewhere in the middle of both our neighborhoods, dessert place. And so we said we'd meet at such and such a time. It was going to be after my work and everything. So I got all dressed up and everything. That could be like work related, but could kind of segue into a date. So I was looking fine. I got myself all ready. What I did make sure to do was I always give the information of who I'm going out on my discovery date with to either a good friend like Lucy, or I'll go and give it to my dad. I used to give it to my dad, the information. So it would be his phone number, if I had his phone number, his user ID, where I met him, what his name was given to me, everything that I can think of, I give it that information to my dad or a friend of mine, and then I will tell them where I'm going for this discovery date and what time, so they know everything. So if anything should happen to me and I just kind of like disappear into the ether, at least they have something usable to track me by. So that's what I do. So anyway, so that I did all those precautions, and then the other precaution that I do whenever I go on a discovery date with, now just remember, this is online dating. These are people that are, I've met, like they've come out of the ether. They're not met through friends or through church, things like that. So there's no like accountability there, or like, we know each other, friends of friends, family, know each other's family, things like that. So with this, I take every precaution possible because I do not know who I'm meeting. So with that, I always make sure that I pee right before I meet this person, so that I don't have to go to the washroom and leave any drink on the table unattended. It's not going to happen. And if I do, or any food on the table that's unattended, it's just not going to happen. So I'm like super precautious about those kind of things, because you just never know. I live in a big city. There's a whole lot of, weird ones in this city, some loopy doopies in here. So I think I just made that one up. So anyway, I get there and he's already there. He's right on time, and I think I was about 5 minutes late. It's kind of always nice because it makes you not look so eager. So anyway, so I walk in and there he was in all his glory, and the first thing I thought was, and there was water glasses filled on the table, and I thought, there's no damn way I'm drinking that water. It's done deal. Make sure, don't forget in your leg, because I'm terrible at doing two things at the same time. So I'll get, trying to make the person feel comfortable, being comfortable myself, talking, and then forget that I'm not supposed to drink this water. So I said to myself, don't you dare drink that water. And I saw him and I said, right away I went, this guy is as cold as ice. This is a done deal. I am not into this guy, and be very careful. He had an aura about him. He was, again, he did look exactly like what his pictures were, but guess what? When you meet them in the flesh, their whole personhood is there. And that guy's eyes, as blue and beautiful as they were on the picture, that guy's eyes were ice cold. He exuded such a coldness, a hardness of spirit that was actually quite scary. And he sat upright, which was, in normal circumstances, you think is great. You got great posture. My friend Lucy has great posture. But this guy, his posture was not only upright, there was a coiled steel coldness about that looked like he was just ready to like jump whenever, like, you know, like a panther's ready to pounce. And he just gave me such a bad feeling. He was like almost soulless. His eyes had no kindness to them. There was nothing there that you could think of kindness or anything. And so he spooked me. And with that, it was like, holy flip, girl, you know, you committed to this, you have to have dessert, just get through it, and, you know, be kind and gracious, because everybody is worth that, and, you know, go through it, you've committed, you've got to do this thing. So I sat down, we shook hands, and he was stiff as a board in his seat. We started talking, we resumed our talk about like working out. Did he come from the gym? He said yes. So we started talking about that. He started talking about an injury. So we started talking about injuries and how we recovered from it. So we're going to town and everything, but all the while I'm going, girl, you know what? Just get this over with. Be gracious. Try to get it, you know, make him feel relaxed and get out of Dodge. You know, eat your dessert. At least without eating my dessert, I can enjoy it and get out of Dodge. And the other thing that I noticed with him, he was like really anxious. He was nervous, but it was in a weird way, and I couldn't tell whether that nervousness was like true shyness or was there something sinister with that nervousness, whether it was something like, you know, he was excited and like anxious, excited about scoping out his like potential prey sort of thing. It just had a sinister edge, but I was going to give him the benefit of the doubt and of course be gracious to him, because even if you're a pseudo-psychopath, you need to be gracious to people, right? They're still humans, they're made in God's image, and you need to be gracious. So I said, girl, just, you know what this is, you don't trust this guy from Timbuktu. He acting like he's normal, but he doesn't feel normal. So just, you know, do what you need to do and try and make him feel comfortable. There was a stiffness in the air, you know, when you have conversations and they flow. There was a bit of a flow, but there was a lack of rhythm in the conversation. So we didn't have that kind of back and forth rhythm. I was trying to tell myself, okay, try and think of it as he's just anxious and nervous, and try and just keep the conversation flowing to help him to feel better. And so, like, instead of this weird cold animal, like, is he like looking at me and assessing me as the potential, you know, victim to his psychopathia. So it was like really creepy. And then he picked up, okay, this is what he did that was like really, okay, here we go. He picked up his glass of water. Now remember, I ain't drinking no glass of water because he came here first. So he picks up his glass of water, proceeds to put it to his mouth, and as he's taking sips of it, there's a waterfall of water flowing from his mouth down, from the glass in his mouth down, all the way down his chest, right? And it's like, holy cow, what the heck is going on here? He was like pouring the water, he was trying to drink it, but most of it was going like, let's say about 80% of it was flowing like a waterfall down the front of his turtleneck top. And I'm like, holy freaking cow. And then I'm trying to act normal about this because I'm seeing a waterfall. He can't even drink his glass of water right. And he's still kind of resuming talking like nothing's happening. And I'm kind of trying not to open my eyes wide in like shock and awe as to what the heck is going on here. And so I'm trying to like, okay, Kim, this is happening, but you know, maybe obviously he must be very anxious, or maybe he's on medication. Who knows? Just ignore it and just keep on talking. Don't look at it. So I really concentrated, kept my face relaxed, and kept on talking as if this was not going on. So this was another thing that was like freaking me right out. And also I was feeling even more sorry for him. So of course, with that. And like he had this build because you could tell that he worked out, right? And he's 6'4", so he had like muscle on him. Like he was like, but it was like long, sinewy, but it was built muscle. It was built muscle, but it was a long length built muscle. So he looked, his hands were big. He looked like a guy that could take you down easy, right? So you don't want to mess with him. And he had this coil thing about him. So it was like, but then this thing that he was doing is like, holy freaking cow, what am I in here? So I just kept on talking, kept on, you know, being gracious and everything, like nothing's going on. And the thing about guys is that they have these kind of fragile egos. They have egos. They're what men are wonderful. And the thing with me is that I like to be kind to people and nice to people, give people the benefit of the doubt, and I'll be kind to a guy even if I don't like them and I'm not interested in them. I'm not going to be nasty to the guy. He's not being like obviously rude now to me face to face, so I'm not going to be nasty to him. Even though I don't like him, I'm going to treat him with kindness and respect and even help him to be relaxed. So that was what I was doing. But guys, because they're like have these fragile egos and they're like pseudo narcissists, have a tendency to take that as, oh, the girl's into him, like totally into him. That could have been farther from the truth. Man, I wanted out of that scene so fast it wasn't funny. But I'm gonna do my part, do my duty, and I'm gonna be kind to this person. So I remained that way. So he probably thought, man, this girl is into me, which I wasn't. So with that, we continued the conversation. There wasn't that rhythm. I said, you know, keep talking to myself, just keep it going, keep it flowing. And so the girl came by again, saw her glass was empty. The waitress filled it up again, asked whether we wanted the menus for the dessert. So we said, we said yeah. And so he proceeds again to pick it up, and I'm going, oh Lord, give me strength. Please don't let him do this again. Wouldn't you know it, he did it again. Another waterfall down his whole top, and I'm going, this guy is pissed. And so I'm going, this has solidified everything. And I'm counting the minutes down, and she's giving the menus, and I'm going, oh Lord, we're going to have to do this. I am committed. And so I start to bend down, and I'm going, Kim, and I'm trying to rephrase things as I'm doing this. I'm going, Kim, I know you're groaning inside, but just now you know my name. I know you're groaning inside, but like reframe it. Try and see it as at least you get to have some dessert. You're gonna enjoy that part, and it's a lesson of like learning how to be cool under, you know, strained situations with who knows what you're dealing with in front of you, and you don't ever want to see him again. And I hope he throws away your number. Thank God he doesn't know where you live, sort of deal. And this is all that's going through my mind when I'm looking down at the menu. So I'm going, okay, and as a dutiful date that I am, I start looking through this thing with all this thing going on in my head, looking through the menu, trying to decide what to have. He suddenly turns up, jumps up and says, I can't do that. I'm not into this. I'm not into this. I'm not interested in you. I'm not into this. I'm going. And I'm like, are you kidding me? And I'm like, part of me is like, I want to jump up and go, hallelujah! I'm free! And the other half of me is going, are you kidding me? Did you just like dump our date like that when I am trying to be like gracious and like as grown-up adults, we should at least behave with graciousness to each other, even if we hate each other's gut, unless of course you're being obnoxious and nasty and just real downright nasty or dangerous, then yes, leave. But none of that was going on, and he jumped up, nearly turned the table over on me and said, I'm not feeling this, I'm not into you, I'm going. And I'm like, I looked up at him and I said, you know what? How did I do it? I just said, you know what? That is the rudest thing I've ever seen in a long time. And you're a big adult, and that is very rude for somebody who's a big adult. And he looked at me and just walked off, and I'm like, I was left shaken because I didn't know what I was dealing with at that table, and part of me was like, hallelujah, I don't have to go through this. The other part of me was totally freaked out at all of his behavior. The other part of me was like, that was incredibly hurtful, and here I wasn't even interested in the guy. I wanted to leave, and I was spooked. I was very, very spooked that I had been talking to this person that I knew was off. I knew it. And like my mom told me, my friend told me, and see what happens when you don't go with your gut. And to the point that I was so freaked out that when I got home, I locked the doors, lock the windows, put the train lock on, put the deadbolt. I was locking everything. I was so shaken by the situation, and the fact that he was a big, strong dude and kind of knew around where I live, it so freaked me out. I didn't sleep well for a number of days. I'm telling you, I did not sleep. I kind of slept with one eye open for a good while with that situation, because it was just so out of left field. His reactions, his responses, his strangeness, his coldness, the soullessness of him, he was just weird. So, moral of the story is, number one, if you get a bad feeling from a potential date, don't pursue it. Don't go on the discovery date, even when you know it's just a discovery date. And a lot of times you're not going to like the person. You just finish off the date nicely and you say your goodbyes. If you're getting a really bad feeling from it, don't even go. And that is my moral, because I should have listened to my gut, my God-given gut. And guess what? Common sense. Basic common sense will get you very far in life. So that's the moral of my story. And that's my first dating disaster number 1. And I think I'm a better person for it, because I'm much more careful in my decisions about that. So anyway, I hope you enjoyed this little story time. And if you did enjoy it, I'd love to know what successes have you had on online dating, or even just normal dating, or what disasters you had, because I'm sure there's a lot of you out there that have had your disasters, and it's nice to share them and feel like you're not the only one that's had to go through the bad before you get to go through the sludge and the muck and the toads to get to your Prince Charming. So anyway, I do hope you enjoyed that, and if you did, please give it a thumbs up and a share, and do subscribe, because I love making videos and I love sharing them with you. And just remember, rock your own kind of beauty and keep on going and keep on glowing. I will.
I see you dressed in white.